I'm Justin. This is Kathryn, and we have some questions to be answered.
Why does Gollum live so long? Where did Gandalf get his hat? Why is Legolas blonde? And why does Frodo get stabbed so many times and not die?
We don't know!
But we do know the answers to these questions. Why do Pop Rocks pop? And what works better in the classic experiment of Coke and Mentos? Regular Coke or Diet Coke? What's better in an explosion? Baking powder and vinegar or baking soda and vinegar? And what's the difference between them?
Kathryn, it's not explode, it's expand.
Before we start this experiment, we need to put on our safety goggles. Don't do this experiment without parental supervision and guidance.
My dad's in the other room.
Yeah, he knows
I
what
think.
doing this. Plus, we have experience.
Nope.
Yeah.
We're science officers. It's a Starkid thing.
Of course it is.
Science. Anyway, so the difference between baking powder and baking soda is baking soda with cream of tartar and drying agent, which is usually a starch. Baking soda is pure sodium bicarbonate.
For this experiment, we will need 2 different bottles of vinegar measured with the same amount of vinegar.
We have the same amount.
And then we're going to put these on plates.
Just in case it overflows.
Okay. Now, to mark how intense each explosion is, we have a Sharpie to mark them. And we're using 1-liter bottles, by the way. Okay, so we're going to take a tablespoon of baking powder with our very
Tablespoon.
nice tablespoon. Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, it has that side edge.
Okay, so we're going to add this to my vinegar. This is baking powder. Okay. And we have the funnel.
And I'm going to mark where it bubbles up to. Ooh, whoa, foamy, foam.
It's going really, really slowly.
Slowly but steady.
Mark right there, right there.
Right there. That's where it went up to.
Mark.
About.
You stink with limes.
You know what? You just increased it.
Okay.
Okay, move this to the side. And now I'm going to be doing baking soda. And now we're just gonna make sure that none of the baking powder is in here, so it doesn't contaminate this, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so we're going to put a tablespoon of baking soda into the other vinegar, and I'll be marking it.
Okay?
Use the funnel.
Well, what do you think that was for?
Ooh, it's going really fast.
And whoa. Wait, right about there. Yeah. Okay.
That's everyone up to. Compared. Baking soda, baking powder. In conclusion, baking soda makes vinegar expand
Yes,
more.
correctly. And this is probably because the baking soda is pure and the baking powder has more ingredients.
The next question we have is, why do Pop Rocks pop?
Pop Rocks pop because the candy is pressurized at about 600 psi, which is pounds per square inch, which is a lot. And CO2 bubbles are bubbled through it while it's at 600 psi. And when the candy cools, it's released from the pressure, but the bubbles are still at pressure. Even now, they're at the 600 psi because the bubbles are still in the candy. So when we eat them, our saliva dissolves it and the bubbles get released and they pop because they're smaller to bigger.
So, yeah, now we're
I
going
just
to
went
prove
from
this.
scientific to stupid.
Yeah. Now we're going to prove this. We have Pop Rocks.
Okay. Cheers.
Mm. Oh. That is a lot of Pop Rocks. So we're doing the classic experiment of Coke and Mentos.
For this experiment, we have Diet Coke and regular Coke.
We each have 10 Mentos I have them in my
10
pocket.
Mentos, but we have a specialized container thingy. It's a piece of copper pipe because we want to be able to get all of these into the Coke without going one,
Yeah,
and then it explodes in our
all
face.
over. So we also have safety goggles just in case it does explode in our face.
So,
You can never be too careful.
and kids, don't try this at home without parents.
Parental guidance and supervision.
And to make sure that they're okay with it, and don't do it indoors.
Yeah.
Unless you have like a pool indoors or
No,
you're rich,
just don't do it indoors. Okay.
or your parents
So,
are at home.
We're gonna take our piece of copper pipe with 10 Mentos in
10
it,
Mentos.
and we're gonna open our Coke.
Now, don't explode. Okay, so the reason why Coke and Mentos explodes is something called nucleation. Now, if you've noticed, whenever you pour soda into a bottle or something, it starts to fizz. That's because CO2. If you've watched Pop Rocks, CO2 is a gas. Duh.
So wait, are we gonna screw the lids back on?
No?
Okay, so we're not gonna screw the lids back on. We're just putting
Because
them in.
that will create a bomb. So it's caused by nucleation. Because on these, if you look, there's a bunch of small little crevices, like the surface of the moon. And all the bubbles form onto that because the CO2 bubbles need something to form on. So that's why it works so well, is because the nucleation and some minor chemical reactions.
Okay, so we are gonna do this all at once.
So
Ready?
3, 2, 1. Okay, so we just determined that
Diet Coke.
I'm the winner. I said it would work. Okay, so it's completely flat because nucleation gets rid of the CO2.
That's disgusting. It
Try
tastes really, really bad, and there's like Mentos.
Try to
in
get
it.
the Mentos.
Nope, not gonna work.